What if the person you are about to leave is not the wrong person at all? What if the discomfort you feel is not a warning sign, but evidence that something deep inside you is finally being awakened? Carl Jung believed that some encounters are far more than chance. They arrive with a strange intensity, forcing you to confront parts of yourself you never knew existed. And the greatest tragedy is that many people walk away from these connections before understanding why they appeared. Have you ever met someone who felt strangely familiar? Not because you knew them before, but because being around them stirred emotions, questions, and hidden desires that had been asleep for years. Most people assume a meaningful connection should feel comfortable from the beginning. Jung saw it differently. He believed that the people who matter most often disrupt our inner world. They challenge our carefully constructed identity. They expose fears we would rather avoid. They force us to look into the mirror of our own soul. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to subscribe and share your thoughts below. Have you ever met someone who seemed to awaken a deeper version of yourself? Your experience may help others recognize what they are going through. Most people believe attraction begins with appearance, personality, or shared interests. Carl Jung viewed certain human connections through a much deeper lens. He suggested that sometimes what draws us toward another person is not merely physical attraction or emotional excitement, but a form of psychological recognition. It is the feeling that something within us has encountered something familiar, even when logic cannot explain why. This experience often creates a sense of mystery because the connection feels significant from the very beginning. The mind struggles to understand it, while the unconscious seems to recognize it immediately. Psychological recognition occurs when another person reflects aspects of ourselves that have remained hidden, neglected, or undeveloped. Instead of simply seeing them as they are, we experience an unusual sense of resonance. Their presence awakens emotions, thoughts, dreams, and possibilities that may have been dormant for years. This reaction can be confusing because it feels larger than the actual amount of time spent together. A brief conversation may leave a stronger impression than years of ordinary interactions with others. Jung believed that the unconscious mind communicates through symbols, emotions, and intuitive impressions. When someone enters our lives and activates these deeper layers of the psyche, we often feel an immediate pull toward them. It is not necessarily because they are perfect or because they possess all the qualities we desire. Rather, they touch something within us that is seeking expression and growth. The connection becomes meaningful because it reveals parts of our inner world that were previously hidden from awareness. Many people mistake this experience for simple chemistry, yet psychological recognition extends beyond excitement or infatuation. It often includes a strange sense of familiarity, as though the connection belongs to a larger story already unfolding beneath conscious awareness. There may be moments of synchronicity, unexpected understanding, or conversations that seem to reach unusually deep levels very quickly. These experiences create the impression that the meeting carries a significance beyond ordinary chance. Because psychological recognition reaches into the unconscious, it can also trigger discomfort. Hidden fears, unresolved wounds, and forgotten desires may suddenly emerge. The person becomes a mirror reflecting aspects of ourselves that we have not fully accepted. This is why meaningful connections frequently feel both inspiring and unsettling at the same time. The unconscious is being invited into consciousness, and that process rarely feels completely comfortable. The deeper the recognition, the stronger the possibility that genuine inner transformation is beginning to take shape within the individual experiencing it. One of the most misunderstood aspects of meaningful human connection is the discomfort it creates. People often assume that when a relationship feels challenging, confusing, or emotionally intense, it must be a sign that something is wrong. Carl Jung approached this idea from a different perspective. He believed that the connections capable of transforming us most deeply are often the very ones that awaken fear, uncertainty, and resistance. Rather than viewing discomfort as evidence of incompatibility, he saw it as a signal that important psychological processes are being activated beneath the surface. Human beings naturally seek familiarity because familiarity creates a sense of safety. The ego, which is the conscious identity we build throughout life, prefers situations that reinforce existing beliefs, habits, and self-perceptions. When another person enters our lives and challenges these patterns, the ego often reacts defensively. What appears to be discomfort in the relationship may actually be discomfort with personal growth. The connection begins exposing areas of the psyche that have remained hidden, and this exposure can feel threatening. Fear frequently emerges when someone sees beyond the image we present to the world. Most individuals spend years constructing a version of themselves that feels acceptable and secure. A meaningful connection can penetrate that protective layer and reveal vulnerabilities that were carefully concealed. Suddenly, insecurities become visible. Old emotional wounds resurface. Questions about identity, worth, and belonging begin demanding attention. The natural reaction is often to retreat from the source of these uncomfortable feelings. Jung believed that the unconscious mind contains unresolved experiences, fears, desires, and conflicts that influence behavior without conscious awareness. When a significant person enters our lives, they may activate these hidden elements. The resulting emotional intensity can feel overwhelming because it forces us to confront aspects of ourselves we would rather avoid. Instead of recognizing this as an opportunity for self-discovery, many people interpret it as a sign that the relationship itself is the problem. This misunderstanding explains why individuals sometimes walk away from potentially meaningful connections too quickly. They are not escaping the other person as much as they are escaping the emotions that the connection has awakened. The fear of vulnerability, rejection, change, or loss becomes stronger than the willingness to explore what the relationship is revealing about them. Growth rarely occurs within the boundaries of complete comfort. Psychological development requires encountering unfamiliar parts of the self and integrating them into conscious awareness. Meaningful relationships often serve as catalysts for this process because they expose hidden dimensions of our personality. The discomfort they generate is not always a warning sign. In many cases, it is evidence that long-ignored aspects of the psyche are moving toward consciousness, demanding recognition, understanding, and deeper integration into the evolving self. Carl Jung believed that every human being carries a shadow, a hidden dimension of the psyche containing qualities, emotions, desires, fears, and traits that have been rejected, suppressed, or denied throughout life. The shadow is not necessarily negative. It includes both weaknesses and strengths that remain outside conscious awareness. Many people imagine they know themselves completely, yet Jung argued that much of who we are exists beneath the surface of consciousness. Relationships become one of the most powerful ways these hidden aspects reveal themselves. When a meaningful connection develops, the shadow often begins to emerge. This happens because another person can act as a mirror, reflecting parts of ourselves that we do not normally see. Certain behaviors, habits, or emotional reactions triggered within the relationship may seem unexpected or disproportionate. A person who believes they are calm may suddenly become jealous. Someone who sees themselves as independent may discover a deep fear of abandonment. Another individual who appears confident may uncover insecurities that had remained hidden for years. These reactions often surprise people because they conflict with the image they consciously hold of themselves. The reason this occurs is that close relationships reduce the distance between the conscious and unconscious mind. The more emotionally significant the connection becomes, the more difficult it is to keep hidden material buried. The shadow seeks expression, and relationships provide fertile ground for that expression. What remains concealed in everyday interactions often becomes visible when genuine emotional investment is involved. Many people misinterpret this process. They assume that because uncomfortable emotions are appearing, the relationship itself must be unhealthy or flawed. Jung would encourage a deeper examination. The emergence of shadow material does not automatically indicate a problem with the connection. Instead, it may indicate that unconscious aspects of the personality are finally becoming visible. The relationship is not creating these qualities. It is revealing what already existed beneath awareness. This process can feel unsettling because confronting the shadow challenges the ego's preferred self-image. People generally want to view themselves as good, rational, and consistent. Discovering hidden fears, resentments, insecurities, or desires can create inner conflict. Yet Jung believed that psychological growth depends on acknowledging these aspects rather than denying them. The goal is not to eliminate the shadow, but to understand and integrate it. Meaningful relationships therefore become opportunities for individuation, Jung's term for the process of becoming a more complete and authentic person. Each emotional trigger, conflict, or moment of vulnerability can reveal valuable information about the unconscious self. Instead of asking why another person is causing discomfort, Jung would encourage asking what hidden aspect of the psyche is seeking recognition through the experience, what forgotten truth is asking to be brought into conscious awareness, and what part of the self is waiting to be understood and integrated. Carl Jung believed that one of the most powerful forces operating within human relationships is projection. Projection occurs when individuals unconsciously attribute their own feelings, desires, qualities, or unresolved psychological material to another person. Instead of recognizing these elements as part of themselves, they perceive them as existing entirely within the other person. This process often happens automatically and without conscious awareness, making it one of the most influential yet misunderstood dynamics in meaningful connections. When people first encounter someone who deeply fascinates them, they often assume that the attraction is based solely on the qualities of the other person. Jung suggested that this explanation is incomplete. In many cases, the intensity of attraction is amplified because the unconscious mind is projecting hidden aspects of the self onto the individual. The person appears extraordinary, unique, or almost magical because they have become a screen onto which unconscious desires and possibilities are being displayed. This does not mean the connection lacks value or authenticity. In fact, projection can serve as an important psychological signal. The qualities admired in another person often point toward undeveloped aspects of the self-seeking expression. Someone who is drawn to another person's confidence may be encountering their own unrealized potential for confidence. A fascination with another person's creativity may reflect a neglected creative impulse within the observer. The attraction carries meaning because it reveals something about the inner world of the person experiencing it. The challenge arises when projection remains unconscious. Instead of seeing the other person as a complex human being with strengths, flaws, contradictions, and limitations, individuals may construct an idealized image. They begin relating to the projection rather than the actual person. Expectations become unrealistic because they are based on fantasy rather than reality. Eventually, the differences between the projected image and the real individual become impossible to ignore. This stage often creates disappointment. Many relationships struggle when projections begin to dissolve because people feel as though the other person has changed. In reality, what has changed is perception. The illusion created by the unconscious is gradually being replaced by a clearer understanding of who the other person truly is. For some, this realization leads to disillusionment and withdrawal. For others, it becomes the beginning of genuine intimacy. Jung considered the withdrawal of projection to be an essential step in psychological development. As individuals reclaim the qualities they have projected onto another person, they gain a deeper understanding of themselves. They recognize that the traits they admired, feared, or desired were connected to their own psyche. The relationship then transforms from a stage of unconscious fascination into an opportunity for conscious growth. Instead of seeking completion through another person, individuals begin integrating those hidden qualities within themselves, allowing attraction to evolve into a more mature form of connection grounded in awareness, authenticity, and a deeper recognition of both self and other. One of the greatest mistakes people make in relationships is leaving at the exact moment personal growth begins. Carl Jung observed that many individuals are willing to pursue connection as long as it feels exciting, comfortable, and validating. However, when a relationship starts exposing deeper emotional realities, fear often takes control. What could become a powerful journey of self-discovery is abandoned because the discomfort of transformation is mistaken for evidence that something is wrong. The beginning of a meaningful connection is often filled with curiosity and possibility. People enjoy discovering similarities, sharing experiences, and imagining a future together. During this stage, much of the interaction occurs within familiar psychological territory. The relationship feels rewarding because it supports existing beliefs and desires. Yet as emotional intimacy increases, deeper layers of the psyche begin to emerge. Vulnerabilities become visible, unresolved wounds surface. Hidden fears that once remained dormant suddenly demand attention. This is the point where many people start questioning the connection. They notice feelings they did not expect. A fear of rejection may appear. Anxiety about commitment may grow stronger. Old memories and emotional patterns from earlier experiences may begin influencing present reactions. Instead of recognizing these experiences as part of an inner process, individuals often conclude that the relationship itself is the source of the problem. Jung would argue that this interpretation overlooks an important truth. Meaningful relationships frequently act as catalysts for psychological development. They illuminate aspects of the self that have remained unconscious. A person may discover insecurities they never acknowledged, emotional needs they never understood, or strengths they never realized they possessed. The relationship becomes a mirror reflecting both the visible and hidden dimensions of the personality. Growth is rarely comfortable because it requires confronting uncertainty. The ego prefers stability and predictability. It seeks to maintain familiar patterns even when those patterns limit personal development. When a relationship challenges these patterns, resistance naturally emerges. The temptation is to escape the discomfort by ending the connection rather than exploring what it is revealing. Walking away too soon can prevent valuable psychological insights from reaching consciousness. The individual loses the opportunity to understand recurring emotional patterns and unresolved conflicts. The connection may have been offering lessons about trust, vulnerability, self-worth, or authenticity. By avoiding the challenge, the underlying issues often remain unresolved and reappear in future relationships. Jung emphasized that individuation, the process of becoming a more complete and integrated person, requires engaging with the unconscious rather than fleeing from it. Relationships often serve as one of the most effective pathways for this engagement. They reveal hidden aspects of identity and create opportunities for greater self-awareness. The discomfort that accompanies this process is not always a sign that a connection should end. In many cases, it signals that psychological transformation has begun, that deeper dimensions of the self are seeking recognition, and that an important stage of personal evolution is unfolding through the challenges, emotions, and revelations the relationship has brought into awareness. Carl Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity to describe meaningful coincidences that seem connected not by direct cause and effect, but by significance. He believed that certain events occur in ways that challenge purely rational explanations, creating the impression that an invisible pattern is operating beneath the surface of ordinary life. When applied to relationships, synchronicity often becomes one of the reasons people feel that meeting someone was not merely accidental. The experience carries an unusual sense of timing, meaning, and psychological importance that extends beyond simple chance. Many individuals can recall encounters that appeared unlikely or strangely well-timed. A person may enter their life during a period of confusion, transition, or personal struggle, arriving at the exact moment when certain lessons, insights, or forms of growth become necessary. The meeting may occur through unexpected circumstances, repeated coincidences, or events that seem too interconnected to ignore. While Jung did not claim that such experiences prove destiny in a literal sense, he believed they reveal meaningful relationships between inner psychological states and external events. The feeling that someone is meant to enter our lives often emerges when synchronicity is accompanied by deep emotional resonance. It is not simply the coincidence itself that creates significance. Rather, it is the way the encounter interacts with the unconscious mind. The individual feels as though the meeting reflects something already developing within them. External circumstances and internal psychological processes appear to align in a way that feels purposeful. Jung observed that the unconscious communicates through symbols, dreams, intuitions, and patterns that may not be immediately understood by the conscious mind. When a significant relationship begins, people sometimes notice recurring symbols, unexpected parallels, or repeated events that seem connected to the person. These experiences can create the impression that life is drawing attention toward a particular connection. Whether viewed psychologically or spiritually, the effect is often profound because it encourages deeper reflection on the meaning of the encounter. The sense of familiarity that sometimes accompanies a powerful connection can also be linked to synchronicity. Individuals may feel they have known the person for much longer than they actually have. Conversations may flow naturally, shared experiences may emerge unexpectedly, and similarities may appear in ways that seem improbable. These patterns contribute to the perception that the meeting carries a significance beyond ordinary social interaction. However, Jung cautioned against blindly romanticizing such experiences. Synchronicity should not be used as proof that a relationship is automatically perfect or destined to last forever. Instead, it serves as an invitation to pay attention. Meaningful coincidences may indicate that important psychological processes are unfolding. They encourage greater awareness of what the connection is revealing about personal growth, unconscious desires, unresolved conflicts, and emerging possibilities. The true value of synchronicity lies not in guaranteeing a particular outcome, but in highlighting moments when the inner and outer worlds appear to converge, drawing attention toward experiences that may play a significant role in the ongoing journey of self-discovery and psychological development. Carl Jung believed that transformation is one of the central purposes of human life. The journey toward becoming a more complete and conscious individual does not occur in isolation. While self-reflection, dreams, and personal experiences contribute to psychological growth, some of the most profound transformations are triggered through encounters with other people. Certain individuals enter our lives and awaken dimensions of the psyche that might otherwise remain dormant for years. Their presence becomes a catalyst for change, forcing us to confront hidden truths about ourselves and encouraging movement toward greater self-awareness. Most people assume relationships exist primarily to provide companionship, security, or emotional fulfillment. Jung recognized these functions but believed meaningful connections often serve a deeper purpose. They act as mirrors reflecting aspects of the self that are difficult to perceive alone. Through interaction with another person, unconscious material begins to surface. Desires, fears, strengths, insecurities, and unresolved emotional patterns become more visible. What was once hidden in the depths of the psyche starts entering conscious awareness. This process can feel both inspiring and unsettling. A person may suddenly discover emotional needs they never acknowledged. Long-buried wounds may resurface. Patterns repeated across multiple relationships become impossible to ignore. The connection forces an individual to see themselves more clearly than before. While this heightened awareness can create discomfort, it also creates the possibility for growth. Without such encounters, many unconscious tendencies would remain unexamined and continue influencing behavior from the shadows. Jung emphasized that transformation often begins when the familiar structure of the ego is challenged. The ego develops a stable sense of identity based on past experiences, beliefs, and social roles. Meaningful relationships can disrupt this stability by exposing contradictions within the personality. Someone who views themselves as completely independent may discover a deep longing for intimacy. A person who appears confident may encounter hidden feelings of inadequacy. These revelations create tension because they challenge the existing self-image. Yet this tension is precisely what makes transformation possible. The individual is invited to expand beyond old definitions of who they are. Instead of remaining trapped within a limited identity, they begin integrating previously rejected or neglected aspects of themselves. This process aligns with Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong movement towards psychological wholeness. Relationships often accelerate individuation because they provide direct opportunities to encounter unconscious material in real time. Not every person who enters our lives plays this role. Many interactions remain superficial and leave little lasting impact. Others, however, seem to arrive at pivotal moments, carrying lessons that extend far beyond ordinary companionship. Their influence may challenge existing beliefs, inspire new perspectives, or reveal hidden dimensions of the self. Whether they remain for a short period or become a lasting presence, Their significance lies in their ability to awaken inner growth, illuminate unexplored areas of the psyche, and serve as powerful agents in the unfolding process of personal transformation and conscious evolution. One of the most important challenges in human relationships is understanding why a particular person has entered our life. Carl Jung believed that not every meaningful connection serves the same purpose. Some people arrive as lessons, others as mirrors, and a rare few become companions who walk alongside us through significant portions of our psychological journey. The difficulty lies in recognizing the role a connection plays before fear, expectation, or unconscious projection distorts our perception. Understanding this distinction requires self-awareness, patience, and a willingness to look beneath the surface of emotional reactions. A person who enters our life as a lesson often brings growth through challenge. These relationships tend to expose weaknesses, unhealthy patterns, unresolved wounds, or limiting beliefs. They may not last forever, but their impact can be profound. Through conflict, disappointment, or emotional intensity, individuals gain insight into themselves. They begin recognizing habits and assumptions that previously operated without awareness. The purpose of such a connection is not necessarily permanence, but education. The relationship reveals something essential that the individual must understand before moving forward. Other people function as mirrors. Jung believed that relationships frequently reflect hidden aspects of the psyche. The qualities that attract, frustrate, admire, or disturb us in another person often reveal something about ourselves. A mirror relationship encourages self-examination because the emotional responses it generates point toward unconscious material seeking recognition. Through these interactions, people discover fears, desires, strengths, and insecurities that had remained hidden. The other person becomes a reflection through which deeper self-knowledge emerges. The most significant challenge with mirror relationships is that individuals often focus entirely on the other person while overlooking what the experience reveals about their own inner world. They become absorbed in changing, analyzing, or understanding the other individual instead of exploring the psychological material being activated within themselves. The mirror's value lies in its ability to direct attention inward, illuminating aspects of the self that require greater awareness and integration. Then, there are companions who accompany us through extended periods of growth and transformation. These relationships are often characterized by mutual development rather than simple comfort or excitement. Both individuals encourage greater authenticity, self-discovery, and psychological maturity. Challenges may still arise, but the connection supports ongoing evolution rather than merely delivering a temporary lesson. Such companionship involves seeing and accepting each other's complexities while continuing to grow as individuals. Distinguishing between these roles requires observation rather than impulsive judgment. Time reveals patterns that initial emotions may conceal. A lesson repeatedly teaches a specific truth. A mirror consistently reflects hidden dimensions of the self. A companion participates in a shared process of growth and transformation. Jung believed that meaningful relationships should not be evaluated solely by pleasure or discomfort. Their deeper value often lies in what they reveal, awaken, and develop within the individual, offering opportunities for greater consciousness, self-understanding, and movement towards psychological wholeness.